plus fights, mediums, allegations of sibling betrayal. We sift through the rather personal detail emerging from early leaks of Prince Harry's new book and ask what it means for the monarchy. It's not unknown for brothers to engage in fights, even in fisticuffs. What is apparently revealed in Prince Harry's memoirs goes well beyond that, in detailing the Duke of Sussex's perspective of a breakdown in his relationship with his sibling, the Prince of Wales, Prince William. There is a specific allegation of being knocked to the floor in a palace kitchen in an argument about the treatment of Harry's wife, Meghan. There's been a stony silence from the palace about the allegations of briefing against the Sussexes. But Harry's words, inadvertently, prematurely released in Spain, contain an extraordinary range of revelations about his royal life and military service. There's a conversation with his late mother via a woman with powers, a racy account of the loss of his virginity, and an acknowledgement of how many Taliban fighters he killed as a helicopter pilot in Afghanistan. We'll discuss this in a moment, but first let's hear from Prince Harry himself in a preview from ITV's forthcoming interview.
Some people will say, you have railed against invasions of your privacy all your life. But the accusation will be, here are you invading the privacy of your most nearest and dearest without permission. That'll be the accusation.
That'll be the accusation from the people that don't understand or don't want to believe that my family have been briefing the press.
Now, to discuss this further, I'm joined in the studio by royal historian Professor Kate Williams and down the line by Dickie Arbiter, the former press secretary to Queen Elizabeth II. Now, it's not exactly unprecedented for royal siblings to fight and squabble, Kate?
Well, there have been many disagreements with royal siblings over history and also between fathers and sons. We might even see the example of the Queen's father, George VI, who had a very difficult relationship with his brother Edward VIII, who finally abdicated. Edward VIII, when he abdicated, wished to remain in the country, to be a sort of star in the country. That was not. He had to exile. And we also might think of William the Conqueror, whose eldest son fell out so much with the younger sons. He tried to invade a country. He went to war against William the Conqueror because he felt that William the Conqueror hadn't punished the younger sons. In the end, one of the younger sons got the throne, and then the other one, he got murdered in a hunting accident. And then the other one got it. So there are many fights and battles in the past for both regal power and constitutional power. But this, I think, is something very different. We have a revelation not of a fight for power, but a revelation within that of a family in which there is a lot of dysfunction, a lot of suffering. Yeah,
and so, Dickie, the central claim seems to be that the royal household in some way was briefing against the Sussexes. What do you make of that?
I think it's a lot of balderdash, quite frankly. The royal household don't brief the journos. The journos openly admitted that their life would be a lot easier if Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace did brief them. No, they don't brief them. But having said that, there are briefings when it comes to royal finances because they want to get the finances right and they want to explain it properly to financial journalists. And that's been happening for decades. There are briefings when there are big major events because they want to make sure that those covering those events are covering them not just properly, but know what they're doing. But briefing against individual members of the royal family is absolute nonsense. And Harry really, this whole exercise of his is revenge. It is spiteful. And he knows full well that the rest of the family are not going to come forward and respond to his narrative. That's the last they should do. They should maintain a dignified silence and not let the narrative run away with itself.
But wouldn't it be better if they did come on the record and deny, say, that central specific thing?
It wouldn't work because you would get, if they came forward and said, well, this didn't happen, then there would always be the question, well, what did happen? And it's self-perpetuating. So no, they must maintain a dignified silence as they've always done and not, as Margaret Thatcher once said, give the oxygen of publicity.
And what do you make of some of the detail we're hearing?
Well, it's quite appalling, actually, because we are, as you say, we are hearing just one side of the story, the gospel according to St. Harry. And quite frankly, a lot of it is questionable because, look, we had Netflix, 6 hours of it. We had the Oprah Winfrey interview, an hour of it. There were a lot of untruths in that. Buckingham Palace even came out to say that recollections may vary. And I think this book, over 500 pages long, there's a lot of recollections may vary in that too.
I mean, the Gospel according to St Harry, says Dickie. I mean, obviously he's a former royal press aide, but what do you make of that?
Well, Harry was told that he couldn't be half in, half out of the royal family. That's what he and Meghan wanted, to be earning their own money and also representing the royal family. They were told very clearly they couldn't do that. They had to be completely out. And let's remember that's what the majority of the European royal families do. Their younger siblings have this role. Harry was told this. So when he's sent out like that, when he's sent out really into the cold, why should he continue really to not say anything? I mean, in every part of public life, people write memoirs. Celebrities, politicians, journalists, they all write memoirs. It's just not something we see in the royal family. But Harry clearly feels as if the relationship is so damaged, he's suffered so much, and that it's not going to be damaged further by him revealing these details. And, you know, it really makes me think, Faisal, about this whole structure which Harry refers to, the spare and the heir, the title spare. You know, is this really a way to conduct a modern royal family in which there is an heir who gets everything and a spare who is meant to be the backup royal? I think people would see this when we think of George and Charlotte and Louis, that George and Charlotte and Louis should be allowed to have jobs and not expected to do the backup royal, because obviously Harry and William don't get on. We had a fantasy that they did. They don't get on, but this is compounded by the fact there's this structure where one gets everything and the other gets nothing. Think about how unhappy Princess Margaret was when the Queen got everything and she could never really find a role.
And so the prospects or the precedents for regal reconciliation here?
Well, the brothers I was talking about, the sons of William the Conqueror, there was a reconciliation engineered by their mother, which later broke down after she died. And Diana is not here to engineer the reconciliation. Indeed, many of the points of commonality, I haven't read the book, I'm reading the comments, I haven't got a spare copy, but, you know, talking about Harry and William both felt that the investigation into Diana's death should be open. There were things they agree on. I think at the moment, Harry feels the relationship is damaged. He feels that there has been leaks, there have been briefing against, and he doesn't feel that it's going to happen, a reconciliation.
Let me quickly bring you in, Dickie, on this prospects or possibility of a reconciliation.
I don't see a reconciliation. There's too much of a chasm, and it's not bridgeable. But I just want to quickly raise the issue about being half in and half out. What everybody seems to forget, or chooses to forget, or sort of selective memories, is that Edward and Sophie, when they married in 1999, they were both half in and half out. Edward had a television production company, Sophie had a PR consultancy. It didn't work, and they eventually got rid of the companies.
And we must leave that there. Thanks very much for joining us, Dickie Arbiter and Kate Williams, of course.